Okay, everyone. This is the magical Dan Marsden. He is a senior developer at Catalyst IT, and he's over in New Zealand. He works a lot with Moodle, SCORM, PHP, and also he's a bit of an e-learning freak. And yes, I am reading his LinkedIn profile. So he's going to teach us some about SCORM in Moodle, which is good because I personally haven't used it before, so I want to know too. So I'm handing over to you now, Dan.
Great, thanks for that. Hi everyone, welcome to the SCORM session. I've been working with Moodle for about 8 years now. I'm a core component lead for the plagiarism API choice module and SCORM module in Moodle. So that means if anyone wants to make changes to those things in core Moodle, they need to go through my approval first. I work in Christchurch and I've 5 kids with my wife Amy. 245 plays right at the SCORM. Well, maybe. We're always fixing bugs. First, I thought I'd just quickly run over what SCORM is. Here's a definition of SCORM that's kind of a long-winded thing that basically says that it's a specification that allows reusability and allows SCORM content to be delivered to learners. But a slightly more simplified version of describing what SCORM is that we have a learning management system over here called Moodle, and we have a SCORM content package over here that has some form of learning in it. And the learning management system says to the SCORM package, I want you to start, and here's some information. The learner's name is Dan, and it can provide some extra information as well as part of the spec. And then the user does some stuff with this external SCORM package, and then the SCORM package sends some information back to Moodle. It sends back that the package is 50% complete. It might send back a score, 8 out of 10, and it sends back a message to say that it's finished. And that's kind of what SCORM is. It's just this external package that allows a learning package to be developed outside of Moodle and to communicate back with Moodle with some basics information. Moodle doesn't create any SCORM content. If you want to develop SCORM content packages, you need to do that outside of Moodle, and there are a range of different ways of doing that. Some people code their own SCORM packages, and others use some popular SCORM authoring tools like Articulate or Captivate. But there's a large range of SCORM content creation tools available from the link in the slide there. There are currently 4 different SCORM versions that are loosely defined as being SCORM related. We have SCORM 1.2, AICC, SCORM 2004, and the latest version called the Experience API, commonly known as TinCan. SCORM 1.2 is supported in Moodle, and Moodle 1.95 went through the certification process with ADL, who are the SCORM specification body, and they provide a certification process as well as a testing process. So we have an internal testing process that we can run on our own to make sure that the code complies, but we can also give ADL Moodle and some information that allows them to give us a certification. And the only Moodle version that has gone through that process is Moodle 1.9.5. We haven't gone through that certification process again since, mainly because no one has really stood up in the community and said they really need us to have that certificate for a particular Moodle version. We are talking about doing it again for Moodle 2 at some point, and there's a tracker issue in the Moodle tracker to do that, but it's just a matter of finding someone that has the time to go through that process. It's quite a bit of paperwork involved and sort of process. As it says there, all the current stable versions comply with the tests, but we just haven't submitted them for that rubber standard. AICC is a similar sort of standard to SCORM 1.2, but it has some quite differences in the back end. Good question. No one has, Rachel's asked if the consensus is that conformance is good enough. I haven't heard from anyone that needs certification. No one has contacted me and said we want this particular version of certification because we've got a client that's using it, or we need it because there's a government standard. No one has said they need certification. We do need to certify again at some point, but I haven't heard of anyone that really needs it. Let me know if that's you, and I'll be interested to hear from you. So AICC is a standard mainly developed for the aviation industry, came out of the aviation industry in the States. And it has some slight differences compared to the school spec, but it is, we haven't ever gone through any certification process for AICC. No one's asked us to, no one's expressed an interest in getting any form of certification for it. But it works, and there is an existing bug in the tracker that is causing some problems, but there are no other functional AICC bugs open in the tracker, so as far as we know, it's relatively stable and it works pretty well. If not, let me know if you're using AICC and it's not going. SCORM 2004 is over 8 years old now and has never been completely completed in Moodle. Some initial work has gone onto Moodle that provides support for some SCORM 2004 packages, but there are 189 different test packages that you use in a SCORM 2004 version 3 that verify that your learning management system complies with the standard, and we only passed 2 of those. We've run several Google Summer of Code projects over the last 2 years that have made minor improvements to SCORM 2004 support, but it really needs about 3 to 4 months work from a really good developer to be able to push SCORM 2004 forward. And when I wrote this slide, it was about a couple of months ago, we were talking about crowdfunding as being an option to allow us to complete SCORM 2004 compliance. But since then, we've decided that it's just not worth the effort required unless someone comes up with a big chunk of funding. So what we've done is we've released some, I wrote a blog post semi-recently and posted in the Moodle discussion forums as well, that we would no longer be continuing to do any development on SCORM 2004 as a volunteer. So most of my time spent on SCORM in the community is as a volunteer. I'm just posting the link to that blog in the chat here. So if you want to know more about why we've stopped SCORM 2004 support, have a look there. So it's basically I'm not going to spend any more volunteer time supporting SCORM 2004. I'm going to be spending time on other more exciting things. But also, sorry, TinCan is the new version. So this is one of the more exciting things that is happening at the moment in the relation to standards and specifications around SCORM. It's a brand new specification. It seems to be easier to implement than SCORM 2004. There's also been some initial work done on this, and there's a tracker issue by someone else in the community. But my preference would be to have a brand new Moodle module in Moodle that did the TinCan support stuff, rather than trying to bolt TinCan onto the side of the SCORM module. The SCORM module code is quite old. It's been a struggle to maintain. There's a lot of sort of technical debt. There's a lot of stuff in there that we don't need anymore, like the SCORM 2004 stuff. And we'll continue to support the SCORM module, but I would really like to see a brand new, clean, stable, reliable module that provides TinCan. But because there's already some work been done in the area, I may end up going back on it and we may just integrate it into the SCORM module. But we'll just see what happens. Hopefully someone will come up with some funding and say, hey, yes, we want to fund this, and we can do it in a brand new module, and that will make it a lot more stable than the existing SCORM module. SCC is a commercial SCORM provider. They have a SCORM module that sits within their hosted architecture, and you can subscribe to that hosted system and pay for the use of that. They also have a Moodle plugin that connects to their cloud that allows the cloud-based SCORMs to pass information back to your Moodle. And their cloud provides full support for SCORM 2004, and it also provides some level of TinCan package support. So if you need a SCORM 2004 player inside your Moodle install, and you have a bit of funding, then you can quite easily use the Rastisi, I think it's Rastisi or Rastiki, the SCORM cloud. And it works a lot more, it's a lot more stable and reliable than the Moodle version. They're great to work with. The service has been pretty good too. We've done a wee bit of work with them in my job as a Moodle partner at Catalyst. We've got a couple of clients that use their cloud-based solution, and they also provide a self-hosted version of that cloud. Yes, it's free to use for a trial, so you can use it for 3 or 4 packages, and it's pretty straightforward to use, very flexible. There's a lot of settings that you can change and make better use of the way your SCORM module works. I find it really good. I wish the SCORM player in Moodle was as good as theirs, but we just have to work with what we've got. And yeah, as I was saying, we've got a cloud-based or self-hosted solutions. We've got a couple of clients that pay AICC for their a license to run it on their own network because they had firewalls that prevent people from their learning management system isn't available externally. It's only available on the internet, so they needed a self-hosted solution. More information on the link in the slide there too. Next thing I wanted to go through was how to manage your SCORM package files in Moodle. There's a range of different ways of storing your SCORM package files, so we'll just go through some of those options now. The easiest way to create a SCORM in Moodle is using the drag and drop. Since Moodle 2.4, you've been able to just grab a zip file from your desktop or a folder somewhere onto the course page when it's in editing mode, and it will prompt you and ask whether you would add that as a file, a resource, a folder, I think it was, and SCORM. And if you click SCORM, it just uploads it straight away, and it happens instantly, and you don't have to change anything. It just uses the default settings. The next way to manage package file is using the uploaded package type, and this is the standard way that you would normally add an activity to your course. Click on the Add Activity, choose SCORM, and inside that window it shows you the Add File area, and you go through the standard Moodle file picker. It allows you to browse and find a SCORM zip package from your local machine or from an existing repository that you've already set up, and just select that individual zip, and it will then pull it into the SCORM module, extract it, and then play it. Next option is the external package type. Now this is not always very useful, but this particular type allows you to have a SCORM package that is extracted. Traditionally, when you have a SCORM package, it's in a zip file, and inside that zip file contains all the information related to that SCORM package. Sometimes it's easier to have that extracted in a file location somewhere, and that's quite often used when people are often changing the content and not wanting to continually re-zip and republish the information. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to have a folder on your website with the extracted information, but due to the way that web browser security works now these days, you can't allow content to communicate with each other across 2 different websites. So if you have your Moodle site on moodle.org and you have your SCORM packages on some other website.org, then Moodle can't communicate between those 2 websites. They have to be on the same. So I don't think I've explained that very well, but that's AICC isn't SCORM, it's AICC, but we can talk about that soon. So if you want to extract your files, you can have them on the same website in a folder somewhere. So what you could do is you have a SCORM1 folder, and inside that SCORM1 folder you can have all your extracted content, and you can link directly to the IMS manifest file. And the IMS manifest file is the configuration or information file for SCORM. So it contains which page to load first, and all the information about the resources that Moodle needs to know about to play the package. If you want to know more about this, I've got some blog posts as well. Feel free to ask questions in the chat if I'm not making myself clear. The next option is downloaded package type. This is a bit more simpler. It allows you to just enter it gives you a text field, and you can enter a URL to a SCORM zip anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's outside Moodle or inside Moodle, because what happens is Moodle goes and grabs that zip file, downloads it, and stores it locally, extracts it, and then plays it from the Moodle install. You can also use the setting update frequency on the page, and it allows the package to update based on whatever setting you make, whether it's every day or every time the user enters the SCORM package. And if you set it, for example, to update every time someone enters the SCORM package, it will go to the external website, grab the zip, extract it, check to see if there's a change, and then make it available to the user for the editor. It does mean there's a bit more usage on the server, so it does take a bit of performance hit, so you just have to be careful about how you manage that. Resetting scores, it depends. Moodle, each SCORM sort of it's called scores inside the package, have identifiers that are listed in the IMS manifest file. So if you have one object in your SCORM package, or one scope, it has an identifier listed in the IMS manifest. And if that identifier doesn't change on the updated version of the SCORM package, then the scores will all be fine and none of the tracking data is lost. But if you upload a brand new IMS manifest file into a new SCORM package, and that SCORM package has a bunch of new identifiers or different identifiers from the previous one, then Moodle can't match the tracking data, and so you do lose scores or you lose some of that tracking data. So if you're not changing the IMS manifest file, then it works. If you are changing the IMS manifest file, you have to be really, really careful not to change those identifiers. There's a good post from Matteo Scaramuccia, I think I said his last name properly, in the SCORM forum this week about that. If you want to know more, Trish, I can dig that out later. Let me know. Important to know that the downloaded package type, the URL has to be accessible to your web server because it's not your browser that's going to get that information. So you couldn't enter a URL to your local machine. So it's not really a URL or a path to a local machine. Is anyone else having issues with audio? Am I speaking too fast? Too quiet, or? Okay. I'll just keep going for a bit. It's important to make sure it's available. Next option is the direct AICC URL. This allows you to not even have a SCORM package or a zip file or anything like that. It allows you just to enter a URL to an external AICC SCORM package. There are companies like Skillsoft that provide large learning databases of content that you can subscribe to. So this just allows you to enter a URL and pass it in. And I think the last one here is an IMS package type setting as well, and this doesn't work and will be removed from 2.6. More information about that's in the forums too. Now, what I didn't mention before is all of these settings, there's only one of them that shows by default in Moodle, which is the uploaded package. This is the only method enabled by default. Yep, I can call them some bridge number. Is it my local audio that's not working well, Fred? I can, I'll just... Treasy, you're local though, so you might hear me better than everyone else, I guess. If I call them to Perth, then it might do it. If you just bear with me for a second, I'll just call that number now and be right back. Hi everyone, can you hear me? Great. I'm not joined on the audio, so if you can't hear me, I won't be able to hear you if you talk, so I'll just keep talking and just chat me. So as I was saying, the only version that's, the only package option that's available at the moment is the uploaded package by default. To enable the other options, you have to go to the admin page under admin, plugins, activities, SCORM, and then at the bottom of that page, you can enable these particular options. So those are the ways to manage your package files in Moodle. Future options as well. The file picker at the moment allows, in Moodle, newer versions of Moodle, allows you to choose an alias, which means that when you select a file, it doesn't actually copy that file, it keeps the link to the original file. So if you've got a file system repository with a SCORM zip in it, and you select that SCORM zip, then it would potentially still keep the link to that SCORM zip, but that's not supported in Moodle at the moment. So that's an option we're going to add as well. Also the relative file path linking, so we can have a SCORM repository of extracted files and allow you to link to an IMS manifest file and some of the direct linking working. I've got some people that might be interested in helping fund this at the moment, so hopefully in 2.6 we might get something in. More information on those is in the tracker too, if that wasn't very clear. One of the biggest issues that people have with SCORM is the concept of attempts and entries. SCORM is designed to allow a learner to enter a package and then do some stuff, exit, and then come back a couple of hours later or a couple of days later and enter at the same point they were previously. So they're entering in a single attempt. They're not, that's not multiple attempts. So they've entered it twice, but they're only using a single attempt. A new attempt in SCORM is only available if the SCORM package sets the core lesson status parameter. It's just a parameter that the package can set. It must set it to completed, passed, or failed. If it doesn't set the package to any of those three options, then each time the user enters the SCORM, they'll be entering the same single attempt. So if the first enter, they get a grade of 20. The second time they enter, they get a grade of 40. That overwrites the previous grade because they're still in the same attempt. It doesn't keep a record of the grade within a single attempt. You only get one grade for that particular attempt. There are a range of ways to manage that in Moodle. And we added a bunch of settings, especially in Moodle 2, that allow you to control how that works and change it depending on how your SCORM package is authored. The first one that's really easy to use is display attempt status, and this just gives, it's mainly for the students, and it can be quite good for testing for your general testing as well. It displays a breakdown of how a grade was achieved for this particular SCORM. So it lists all of the attempts, it lists what the grading method is and how it calculated the grade, and gives quite a nice overview of why did this particular person get a grade of 30%. So if you're trying to debug and trying to figure out why is this happening, using display attempt status can give a good breakdown. These are settings that are just on the edit SCORM page when you're adding a SCORM or when you're editing an existing SCORM on the course page. Number of attempts is another setting that just controls how many attempts can be created by the learner, not how many times they can enter an existing attempt. So if you say they can only do one attempt, that might mean that they can actually re-enter it 100 times because the SCORM package is not authored to set complete or passed or failed. SCORM also allows you to go back in and review. So even after you've completed a SCORM package, you can still re-enter it after your attempt's finished. So there are other settings that control that as well. Course completed. Some SCORM packages don't actually set lesson status to be completed. They just push back a grade or have been authored by someone that hasn't implemented the full settings. So we have this force completed setting that allows you to force the status to be complete. This only works reliably if your SCORM package doesn't set this value. So if your SCORM package is setting lesson status, then it can conflict and you can have issues. Yeah, Captivate and Articulate are definitely the two most popular ones I see in the forums. Block after final attempt. When the total number of allowed attempts have been used, so and the lesson status is set to complete, passed, or failed, it prevents access to the SCORM. So normally, when they have completed, they can still review the SCORM package, but this prevents that as long as the previous one is complete, passed, or failed. Forced new attempt. When a user has finished their attempt and the SCORM package is pushed back to lesson status complete, passed or failed, when the student goes to re-enter the SCORM, they get a checkbox on the page that says start new attempt. To me, that's just part of the SCORM specification. You know, you have to allow the learner to be able to start a new attempt or re-enter the previous attempt. But to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of the normal usage. You know, if a student has entered an attempt and completed it, normally we'd want to keep a record of that, and just next time they enter, they create into a new attempt. So we have this setting called forced new attempt, which just hides that checkbox. And if the previous attempt has been completed, passed or failed, when they re-enter the SCORM, it just generates a new attempt automatically and doesn't ask them. There are a couple of known bugs with the forced new attempts, just to be aware of. One of the settings also on the SCORM editing page is to allow the course structure or the table of contents to display on the SCORM entry page. And if you click on the links within that particular SCORM entry page, then the forced new attempts setting is ignored. So that needs to be addressed at some point. And also there's a bug with Moodle 2.1 and lower that was related to the skip content structure page. It's also quite a popular setting that gets confused as well. There's a setting on that page called Student Skip Content Structure page. Normally when a learner clicks on a SCORM link within their course page, it opens an entry page and says, this is the SCORM package, and there's an enter button on the bottom of that page that lets them enter into the SCORM package. The setting Student Skip Content Structure page skips that page so that when they click on the SCORM link, it just takes them directly into the SCORM package. But it only does that for learners. It won't do that for teachers. And the reason it doesn't do it for teachers is because the only way to get at reports for SCORM is via that SCORM entry page. So if we skipped it for teachers as well, then they'd never see the link to the reports and wouldn't be able to get at them. So it only skips it for students, and the forced new attempt wasn't working properly for those students prior to 2.2. There's also a future improvement I'd like to make at some point, which is to add the ability to force a new attempt on every re-entry, which to me is it breaks the SCORM specification, but it's what a lot of people seem to be wanting. They want the full history of the grades to be kept and each entry to the SCORM to be an attempt. So that's something I want to add at some point, and there's a Moodle tracker issue there for it. If this is really important for you, feel free to drop me an email and tell me that you've got heaps of funding, and I'm happy to pay for my time to do it. Otherwise, it's going to sit there in the tracker for a while until I feel enthusiastic about it. SCORM grading is also quite confusing sometimes. Some SCORM packages return some SCORM packages return a score, like a 1, an 80%, 100%, and others only return a lesson status, like completed, passed, and failed. So the way you set this particular grading method in your SCORM depends a lot on how your SCORM package has been authored. The highest grade, average grade, and some grade are all based on the number of scores that are pumped into Moodle from your SCORM package. Some SCORM packages return more than a single score for that package. Some have multiple objects that return scores. So you might have object 1 returning a score of 10, object 2 returning a score of 20, object 3 reporting a score of 50. And you have to tell Moodle how to cope with that, whether you want to add them all together, whether you want to average them, or whether it's just the highest grade that you want to keep. So it was the last 50 that becomes that grade. Learning objects is used when the SCORM package doesn't return a score. It only returns a lesson status. And it allows you to do the same sort of thing with objects. You might have 4 objects inside your SCORM package that all return a completion status. And so it will, each completed or passed one, it will add a 1 to that grade. So if you have 4 objects, you could have a grade of 4 for those 4 different objects if all 4 are complete. Or you could have a grade of 3. And how you manage that in your grade book, you manage separately. Again, more information on this on the frequently asked questions page in the SCORM FAQ. SCORM grading is also the attempts grading option. So because we have this concept of entries and attempts, you also want to manage how to manage when you've got multiple attempts. And easy is highest, average, and first. And the last completed attempt will only show an attempt that has completed or passed. So if they get a score of 50 in the first one that's complete and 60 in the second one is complete, and they get a score of 20 in the third one and it was a fail, then what will show in the gradebook is the second attempt, which was the completed one. There's a bunch of different reports in SCORM. This is the report that's been in there since Moodle 1.9, and it's just a basic report that shows the students how many attempts they've made and the score that they've got. So you can see these students have all just had one attempt, and you can see their scores on the right-hand side, and you can see some information about when they started and when they finished. And if you click on the individual attempts here, you can see that there's a slightly more detailed breakdown of the information. And so this single attempt that the user made, there are several objects in this SCORM package. You can see that the first one was completed, the next three were listed incomplete, and the last one was browsed. And two of them returned a score. You can see there's a 16 and 18 there. What you can also find is there's extra track details links as well that let you find more information about the user's interaction with this particular individual object. And most of this is not all that useful. It's not very easily sort of digested and doesn't always make a lot of sense. But you can see that the interaction that the student had with that individual object. And you can see that there's some interaction responses here. You can see that there's these are questions and answers basically, but not formulated in an easy way to understand. The other one of the other reports that's in the SCORM module at the moment is the graph report. This is not developed based on a user's request. This was done as part of the Google Summer of Code project and was just an example of yeah, there's more than just graphs. There's a sort of a few of them on that page. I'm not sure if this is useful. Let me know if it is. It was more done as an example of what could be done with the reporting engine that was added to the SCORM reports. So basically up here you've got the number of participants, and down here you've got the percentage that those participants got. Yeah, that's why we did it. We did the graphs because we thought they could be useful, but I'm not sure if these are helpful or not. Love to hear from people if they found them really useful. The interactions report is the main thing, main sort of report that we wanted to get added to the engine based on the Google Summer of Code. And this allows you to see a list of all of the answers to questions that students have made inside their SCORM packages. SCORM packages allow you to have quizzes, and they ask a user a question and the student responds. And there was not previously any easy way of getting those responses out of Moodle into a nice spreadsheet. So we added this interactions report that displays that information. The numbers start at 0. So 0 is actually the first question and 1 is the second question. And you can see here that this particular response that the student gave was mango, but the right answer was kiwi fruit. So there are other extra columns here you can see as well if you want to. This is available in Moodle 2.3 and higher, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 2.3 and higher. Yeah, you can use, there are a bunch of other report plugins for those sorts of things as well, but this was built into Moodle Core. The problem with SCORM 1.2 and 2004 is that it doesn't publish the question name back to Moodle. So all that Moodle finds out is the answer that the student gave, what the correct answer was, and whether the student entered the correct answer or not. So you don't get the actual question back. You do get the ID number of that question. So when you're creating a SCORM package and you're creating questions, you have ID numbers associated with individual questions. And you might normally have that things like ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, which isn't very helpful when you're going to doing the reporting. So when you're developing your SCORM package, it can be quite useful to use short names that are more descriptive of the question than just using ID1, ID2. So if your question is, what is this fruit? the ID of that particular question could be what fruit instead of the ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, because that makes it a bit easier for you to parse those reports. Most of the SCORM creation tools allow you to set the IDs on the quizzes, as far as I know. Articulate and Captivate do. I don't know about the others. I'm not a SCORM package author. I've created a very little number of SCORM packages in the time that I've been working on SCORM. Most of my time is focused on getting Moodle to display other people's packages. I presume so. Storyline, I'm pretty sure you can, but I haven't tried it. The other really useful thing is the SCORM debugger. This allows you to see all of the interaction between your SCORM package and Moodle, and it's not always easy to understand for people that are just normal teachers and normal users, but it gives really, really good information to people when trying to find a problem. So if you've got a problem with your SCORM package and it's not working the way you'd expect, yes, 1.9 has a debugger as well. I'll post the links in the forum and in the chat here. I'll just get that link now. So the first link here is that's the information on the SCORM debugger for Moodle 2.5. And I'm pretty sure you just need to change, it doesn't have badges, and it runs out of security support in December. And the debugging one for 1.9 is just changing the documentation link there from 2.5 to 1.9, but I'll paste that here as well. And it displays all of the information that happens between SCORM and your SCORM package and Moodle. It displays all of the individual calls that happen between the two. And if you're ever having trouble and you're wanting to ask for support, if you turn the debugger on and get a debug trace, then copy that and then provide that to whoever's providing you support, then that makes it a lot easier to understand what the problem is. If you are having trouble with SCORM and you don't have the budget to contract your local Moodle partner to help, you can ask in the Moodle.org forums. But there's some information that we really find useful that would help a lot if you provide. So we have on the SCORM FAQ again, there's a list of things that would be really useful to provide. So I'm just pasting that into the chat there as well. So there's things like make sure that you're prepared to offer up your SCORM package. If we can't see your SCORM package, a lot of the time we can't help. And sometimes that's a problem if your SCORM package is sort of private or contains learning information that you don't really want to publish. So that can be a problem. Always report which Moodle version you're using. Don't just say I'm using 1.9. Say I'm using 1.9.19 or 2.5.4, or give us completely specific information about the Moodle version you're using. Screenshots can help a lot. And the debug log. If you can get that debug log, paste that into a forum post, and that helps a lot as well, because it just allows us to figure out a bit more about what's going on. There's also on my blog, there's a bunch of different SCORM-related bits and pieces, but there's a debugging, what do I do if SCORM doesn't work post, which I'll post into the tracker here as well. And that just runs through a range of different known issues and things that you should do to check first. Pasting that into the chat now as well. So I think that's pretty much the basics of my slides. I can talk a wee bit about AICC as well. I know they've had a question there about AICC, HSCP. AICC provides a way of communicating to Moodle that doesn't use JavaScript. So if you want to host your content on an external site and not within your Moodle site, or if you want to publish content to a large number of users but don't want to give them that content because you want to keep protection or license that material rather than providing it easily, then you can run an AICC HACCP store, basically. What would it take to make Moodle course as a SCORM provider? Why would you do it? It would be a bit of work, but I don't know what the main point was. Wouldn't you just use LTI if you wanted to do something like that? I mean, anything's possible with some development, some time, but I wouldn't. I haven't heard many people asking for that sort of support. Yeah, it works well. It hasn't done well in 1.9. 1.9 earlier versions particularly weren't working too well. Skillsoft have a lot of AICC content and helped a lot actually in debugging and providing patches and supporting getting Moodle to work better with their content. So they provided a bit of community support to get us to the point we are now. Yeah, particularly Martin Holden, who is one of the developers at Skillsoft. He's written a couple of plugins for connecting to their content. Yeah, Martin Holden, been really good to work with in the community. He works in I think he's in the US. I'm not sure. He's not in the yeah, I think he's in the US office, but he's in the tracker bit. What would it take to embed SCORM as a question in the quiz? I wouldn't suggest doing that, mainly because SCORM is an insecure standard. It uses JavaScript to communicate with well, it'd be possible, but it'd be work. It's an insecure standard though, so if someone with extra knowledge was doing a SCORM package and wanted to fake the score they got, they could manipulate the JavaScript in their browser to give a higher score than they would have. But it's unlikely that normal corporate users or normal users would be doing that. It shouldn't be used for that sort of, I'd do the same. I wouldn't choose to use quiz and SCORM at the same time. I don't know why you would try and embed it in it. And SCORM's an old standard too. Don't forget, it's not a new thing. It's quite old. Yeah, I'd be interested in asking why they were trying to do that. Was it because they were having issues with SCORM, or was it because they were having issues with the quiz? What were they trying to do that they couldn't do? And I'm sure there'd be a better solution than trying to embed SCORM inside a quiz. Because you can put quizzes inside a SCORM package. Right, so it's about investment in the content and wanting to, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird sort of thing to do, because if you want to get a score back from that and then use that inside the quiz, it'd be a bit difficult. You could use activity completion, so that they have a quiz, but they have a SCORM package as well, so they do the SCORM, and then when they complete the SCORM, they get a grade, and then it makes the quiz available. So you could do some flow stuff there, but or you could still probably link to the SCORM package from within a quiz, but it wouldn't report the score from the SCORM into the quiz. But yeah, you can do activity completion. Feel free to ask any questions now. I've finished most of my slides. Finished all my slides. Some contact information. I posted a bit about my SCORM stuff in the blogs as well, so have a look at that. That link doesn't seem familiar, Native. What is it? I'll just follow it up. No, I haven't seen it. I've just pulled it up. Looks interesting. I'll have a look at it later on and figure out. Looks very new. It's only 11 days old in the in GitHub. Yeah, looks interesting. It's a big round. Yeah, if you're having issues, have a good look at the FAQ as well. I've tried to work on that over time to include as much sort of the frequent issues that people are having. There's more information about the SCORM content stuff. The managing SCORM content stuff is in my blog as well. So if you want to know more information about different ways to do that, here's the link to that one. Yeah, no, that sounds strange to me. It sounds like it's not really the SCORM spec, and it sounds more like some of the tin can stuff. So it's interesting to see investment in. Oh, so it's 2 years old, I see. It's interesting to know how much use it's getting. Where's tin can going? Is that the question, Native? Well, there's a guy on the tracker that's done some work on it. I'm not sure if were you here when I was mentioning that earlier on in the presentation? Yeah, it does work, but it's adding to the existing SCORM module, and the existing SCORM module is in Moodle is not really the best example of code. It's ideally, I would like to create a brand new Moodle module for TinCan that is more stable, more reliable. Well, Moodle HQ are keen to support whichever direction we decide. So it's I prefer a brand new module. I don't really like adding it to SCORM because SCORM's just it's just not as clean or long-term easy to support. So, but in saying that, because this work in the track has been done, if I can't get any funding from some places to do it properly, then we may just integrate it and look at it. But I'm resisting that at the moment because I'd prefer to have a more clean standalone module that doesn't have all the extra overhead that SCORM brings in, especially the SCORM 2004 stuff. There's a lot of nasty stuff there that would never ever make it into Moodle Core if it had to go through the same process that we do now. Well, at the moment, we have a couple of clients that we're talking to at the moment, Rachel, that are semi-interested in funding this. So if you've got someone in particular that is keen to fund it and you're wanting to involve us, then let us know. I think we're probably too early to start looking at that native. I think we need to at least implement the package playing first. There's talk about adding some of the TinCan spec stuff on top of the logging API. So with the Moodle HQ working on the new version of the logging API at the moment, and looking at how we can add the TinCan spec on top of that at some point, like a TinCan viewer of the logging API, or something along those lines. Yeah, there's talk about it. There's talk about it, and there's lots of different ways we could implement. But I guess a lot of it comes down to what clients want and who's willing to pay for it or who's willing to spend their volunteer time doing it. And at the moment, we've got a few looking at, we've got a few people that we're talking with at the moment that are semi-interested in possibly funding some of it. So, put me an email if you've got more people that are interested or helping. I'm always looking for more people to help support SCORM in code-wise. So if you're volunteers that are willing to have, spend time on it, then that's cool. Yeah, Trish, I'll just dig out that post from Matteo in the forums. Hold on, I'll see if I can find that for you. Any other questions from other people in the room at the moment? There are lots of different standards, Randy. I mean, there's LTI, there's IMSS. I mean, I think they all have a place because people are going to use all of them anyway. I think TinCan's going to get some use. I think LTI is going to get some use. I think IMSS is going to get some use. So we need to support them all. They're just different standards. It would be nice if we only had one standard that did the same sort of stuff, but the reality is it doesn't work like that. I mean, we have Microsoft Office, we have OpenOffice, we have all of these other areas where you have multiple different standards and multiple different tools. We're just going to have to continue supporting them all, and whatever users are wanting to use, we'll just have to use and support. Cool, great to hear it's been useful. I can't see that that link right now, Trish, but I'll find that for you now as well. But so if you hang around, I'll paste it in the chat. Yeah, if you're having issues, there's particularly with Moodle, my blog's quite good. If you just look for general SCORM stuff, then yeah, Rachel's posted some great examples there, Austin and Bitworks and RustDC. And the SCORM FAQ in the forums is really good too. You've been dreaming about SCORM, you poor thing. Hope they haven't been nightmares. Nightmares too. Here's that link, Trish. Matthia's quite a good SCORM knowledgeable person and helps out as a developer as well. There are a small number of people that help in the SCORM development area and submit patches, and Matthia is one of those. There's quite a good knowledge on the code and good knowledge on SCORM. Yeah, if you have a look at that, he's got some info there. Cool. I guess that's it. Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy the rest of the iMoot. Yeah, definitely. I think we should. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I try to keep an eye on the forums. I mean,
I was just going to say thanks very much for that, Dan.
Cool.
Oh, we're talking over the top. Okay, thanks, Dan, for that. As somebody who has never created a SCORM package, I found that to be really, really useful to get my head around the technology and how things work and then how it talks to Moodle. Yeah, I think we should all adjourn to the forums where we can keep talking asynchronicity-wise. Yep, thanks very much for getting up at this time on a Saturday, Dan, and we'll see you. You've got another session coming up?
Not today. I've got another one tomorrow. This one's actually easy. This is just 10:30. Tomorrow's at 6 a.m., so that's a more interesting one.
Okay, it must be after mine then, because I've got one that's earlier than that. Okay, right. So, okay, thanks again, and we'll wrap it all up from here.
Great, thanks for that.